I'm Chris Henry with BizSpeed, and this is part of our best practices interview series. So we're honored today to be talking to John and Jason, both with Oracle NetSuite. They both have a lot of experience. It was kind of funny when we started talking about this. John had worked with one of our customers on their implementation on another ERP, I think over 15 years ago. So both of them have a lot of experience in the petroleum industry. And this is a chance to talk about NetSuite, what NetSuite is, and why it's a good fit for petroleum distributors, and also just to share best practices from an implementation standpoint, selection standpoint, things like that. So this is part of our series. So today's NetSuite for petroleum. We've done rental fuel management last month, and we've done some other things with routing and fuel supply commodities trading. We try to do these every 1 to 2 months just to bring some new technology and new discussions from an industry standpoint. So like I mentioned, I'm the host. This is an interview, so it's not really about BizSpeed. This is a chance for us to talk to NetSuite and find out more about NetSuite, but also just to get John and Jason's background in the industry because they've got so much mid-market wholesale distribution experience. So having said that, why don't you guys each give us a little bit of background of you and your time at NetSuite and also just the general experience overall. So
Yeah, I'll go
First,
first.
Jason. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thank you again, Chris. Thank you for having us. This is great. Anytime we can reach out. A little bit about myself. I think I've been in the consulting field or the ERP field for 20 years. Before that, basically was doing some warehouse jobber, getting my hands dirty, running the warehouses, kind of stuff like that. But as I've grown from a functional consultant, now I'm actually a DL or a delivery lead. So I'm on the professional service side, getting those customers live and all that good kind of fun stuff. But see lots of different types of customers. Again, petroleum is that one little niche mark that's always a fun because those customers do give. They push us, right? They want their business to run correctly and right, and they're always looking for the best way to doing it. So it's always a good. I like challenges, so it's always fun to work with petroleum customers. So they're
and your role right now is you're a delivery manager?
yeah, I'm a delivery lead. So basically, I have probably 8 or 9 people below me, functional consultants, and I have a large portfolio of other jobs. But I'm one of those ones that I'm always been hands-on. So I like to get in there and help the customer and help the function consultants. And I'm always talking to customers and making them feel at ease. Because again, those 20 years, I might have somebody below me that's 5 years. And maybe they've only worked with one petroleum distributor, where I might have had, 40 or 50 or something like that. So it brings the ease into that process when we, get that customer live and throughout the whole process.
Perfect. John?
That's a tough act to follow. Listen,
I'll let you
so
go first next time.
Jason, yeah, no. Jason and I have known each other most of that 20 years, I would say. So my name is John Baratta. I run the pre-sales consulting team for all of North America for anything distribution, wholesale distribution goes across my desk. Transportation, logistics, construction, a few others. So I run the team of pre-sales consultants is a good way to think of them. We call them customer success advisors or CSAs, and their job is to and what we really do is get to know the customer that we're talking to before they sign a statement of work. Our whole job is to make sure we understand all of the requirements and then from that build out a fixed bid statement of work so there's no surprises. You know exactly what you're going to get, you know exactly what the cost is, and then near the end of that process before you've signed, we introduce you to people from the implementation side of the house, the customer success team. So I bring in Jason quite a lot, right? So access to several teams, and I pull them in, and you get to meet the people you're going to be working with, and then I never disappear. If I really go back to when I used to also kick around a warehouse, I was probably 15 when I picked my first order, and I just turned 48. So I've definitely been in and around it for a long time before I got into the software side of it.
And I think you've done a lot. Like I mentioned, you've been involved in petroleum distribution too for quite a while too, right?
Yeah, I want to say so. Back in my Epicor days, I know the first customer that I worked with as we got into the petroleum space for distribution was Kraft Oil, which now is part of PetroChoice, right? So he basically lived up in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, as
Mm.
we as we worked on that project and built it out with Bob and Marine, and it just went from there. And we've talked about some of the others, right? I've been coast to coast and worked with
Yeah.
as many of them as I could think of.
They're a customer of
Yeah,
ours. And I remember when it was kind of fun when we talked about that with Bob Mills and Kraft, because that was over 15 years ago. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, Bob's a good guy. Actually, I spoke with him not all that long ago, but it's probably like a year or two. But who knows? Yeah.
Well, today's interview format really, this is about sharing best practices and helping the folks that are online or that watch the replay of it understand how to make good decisions and how when and why they should do that. And so this follows the same format that we've done in the past, which is we'll talk about strategy, process, people, and technology. So from a strategy standpoint, maybe we'll jump in there, but let's get a little bit of the topic overview too. So give us a quick overview of what NetSuite is.
Yeah, so to me, NetSuite is it's an ERP, right? It's a platform. It's going to be CRM, it's going to be inventory, it's going to be your e-commerce, it's going to be um, everything, right? We when we implement you guys, we want to have everything inside the box. We don't want some Excel over here, or we don't want some other website over there. We kind of want it all to feed right into the actual system. Um, so again, that's a one-stop shop for you to look for data, and then we give you it to your like a real-time process.
And I think part
Yeah.
of the reason why we're talking too is because we've integrated with NetSuite at a number of customers. So yeah, John, you want to give your thought on it?
Uh, you read my mind. The other part to that is unlike really most ERP that's out there, because we have the one unified platform, and because all of our customers are on the same version, including us, and I'm in NetSuite every single day. We're all on the exact same version of NetSuite. That's across all 44,000 plus customers. And the benefit to that is it makes it a lot easier for us to work with Friss, right? As we're building, as we're really making sure that integration between BizSpeed and NetSuite is robust, right, through our APIs, and that it's a two-way street, it's a live communication, and we're able to do those types of things or leverage API to take advantage of these things across all of our customers easily, because we only have to write it once. And then it works for everybody, right? Because we have that one unified platform that's the same for every single customer across the globe.
And maybe give us a little bit of flavor about NetSuite being used for petroleum distribution. So when we say petroleum, it's typically, fuels and lubricants, but yeah, tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'll let Jason take that because I know he's working on a few of those with his team.
Yeah, so the biggest thing for a lot of them is basically being able to track their inventory and the different types of unit of measures with those inventories. It's fluid, right? But you're gonna put it into something. So am I tracking it on the rail? Am I out there in a what is it? The big pallet, I can't remember the cubic inches or the cubic volume it is, but is it
The
55
toast?
gallon drums? Yeah, they have those big white jugs, those big
The
huge things.
toast.
Yeah, the totes. Yes, yeah, thank you. Um, the all of those, and they want to make sure that's right? And if there's any spillage, how are we going to track that, or how are we going to write that off? And basically have the integrations, right? Some legacy systems or some ERP systems that are out there don't have 30 parties, like a BizSpeed that can actually get in there and do that extra stuff. That minute stuff that just fits better with the NetSuite environment. So I think those are really, really important.
What NetSuite obviously started as a cloud ERP, right? And that's really one of the first ones. What are you seeing as the state of the ERP market today? So when you look at it, like what is the state of the market now?
John, you want to take that one, or do you want me to take that one too?
That's a tough one to answer. For what I run into, um, and I can only speak from where I've come from and where I am now. I see people are looking for a stronger technology stack, right? And there's a lot of other players out there that have been around for a long time, right? They're highly functional, but the back end is a little bit more restrictive, right? There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a little bit more restrictive, right? And getting access to that information, like if you want to run reporting or dive into the details, it takes a bit more expertise than maybe some people have, or those of us that still do have it are getting long
Yeah.
in the tooth and might not be doing it for much longer, right?
Right.
I guess part of
So
the reason for asking that is, when you
yeah.
started, you were really one of the first web-based ones. Is everybody web-based now, or do you still see competition with on-prem? I mean, we still have integration with some on-prem implementations, or is everybody, when they're looking at ERP systems now, is it like, I will tell you on the logistics side, being cloud native is, you have to be like, is that the
Yeah.
situation on ERPs as well?
Yeah, and then you have to really break down when you look at it, like there's the true cloud, right? Is it truly a cloud-based product, or is it an on-prem solution that was reskinned to work sort of browser-based, but it's really just a glorified remote desktop, right? You really
Or
want
an
to dig
emulator
into
or
like
something, right?
yeah, or an emulator. Yeah, you really want to dig into like how true is that cloud-based? Like for us, for NetSuite, I can do everything that I can do on my laptop, on my phone, on airplane Wi-Fi. I can continue to work and I still have the same connectivity because it truly is a cloud platform, and it truly is has the ability to work even off the barest of internet connectivity, right?
So
And
before we dive into this, we'll go
I
ahead.
just want to add, Chris, a lot of customers they don't have a staff that can handle, the server in a box in the closet that's over there in the room, and they forget to put the
Hmm.
backup tape on, and they do, all these month-end processes and stuff like that. They want to move away from
Yeah,
that because, do I want to pay somebody that's going to manage that, or do I want to pay somebody that's going to go out and help me get sales,
Yeah.
right? And if that
yeah.
part can kind of go away, and if, and that whole, can pay for itself eventually, that's just a better thing.
This is kind of a,
Yeah, and then manage. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is kind of a broad question, but so why do companies select NetSuite? I can tell you why. I've heard some of our customers that have done it, but generally, what are the reasons why somebody would say, "Hey, I picked NetSuite because."
I tend to find it has to do with the current state of our platform and the technology that we have in our technology stack and where we're going to be. But another big component of that is, who are we part of, right? Years ago, Oracle came in, right? Yes, NetSuite became part of Oracle, but they've really left us as our own business unit. And I think the most major change that I saw when we became part of the whole Oracle family is that my email address changed and where I do things in HR and put in my expenses. Those are like my two. Those are my two biggest changes that happened. Otherwise, they let it. We still operate the same as we did before, right? So I think what people look at is the longevity of the company that we have, especially where you see a lot of products are starting to get sunsetted. I know, especially in the petroleum industry, right?
Right.
There are platforms still being used out there that we all know have been around since like the 70s and 80s, right?
Yep.
And you've got a couple people that are still maintaining those and keeping them alive. Whereas when you select someone like like NetSuite, you're literally picking a product that's going to be around for the next 20 years, 30 years, right? It's a product I know I chose for those reasons. I wanted something that'll carry me until I retire. I didn't want to have to do this again. So part of my selection process for choosing NetSuite was ease of recording, right? Being able to get in and get access to data using the software itself, and I wasn't going to have to
Yeah.
learn something new. Maybe later on as I was getting to the last couple of years of my career. So I know I've still got a good 18 left in me, and I have no problem saying that I'll be on NetSuite doing it.
We
Yeah, I
had a
think
couple.
also,
Chris, go
oh,
ahead.
if I could just add, and Chris, you jump in. It's a strong platform, right? You could literally beat it up and it's not going to break. We have customers in there doing, millions of items and hundreds and thousands of customers and transactions like crazy, but it's still flexible where you can create some scripts and we're open. We're not going to say, hey, we're going to, charge you X dollars for you to go run a script. Go, go build a script, create the script,
Yeah.
do it, if it breaks, it only breaks the top. It doesn't break the core. It's so flexible that way. I think that's one of the things that a lot of customers will see. Hey, I need a strong thing. It's been tested over time. It doesn't go down, like some other places last week. And we're just strong, right? We're just keep pumping away and we're upgrading. Every twice a year, we keep, putting this out. We listen to our customers. We're out there, listening to them in all of the different verticals. How can we help you? How can we, make you stronger? How can we do business with you? In flexibility of growth. How many of our customers, maybe they started as a gazelle or they started a little mom and pop shop and now they're, doing billions of dollars and millions of dollars, right?
Uh,
So those type
hey,
of things help.
I got it,
Jason,
Charlie.
Jason
There's a
and
couple.
John, this is Charlie. I got a couple questions that have come
Charlie.
in that I'd like you guys to touch on.
Please.
Sure.
This first question is regarding the petroleum industry. We have numerous tax reports: sales tax by state, sales tax by product, state excise tax, exemptions, etc. Tell us what your tax reporting is like, and are you doing various reports like this now?
So yes, I'll start with the latter half of that. Is yes, we're doing all of those. Your red fuel and your state excise tax reports. We have. I should apologize now. We like to put the word "suite" in front of everything. We have a tax engine, and it's called Suite Tax. And the Suite Tax engine allows us to. We've already built all of those tax reports, having other prior petroleum customers. So all the reports already exist. When we implement in general a customer, so let's say in the petroleum space, yes, NetSuite is a big generalized ERP, but we have industry focused teams and we have industry focused solutions, and that means we have those reporting pieces, those typical roles and KPIs and dashboards that you want to see in those industries already bundled up. We install those right out of the gate. So you just get those out of the gate. So you'll have all of the tax reports that you're looking for around those, as well as the different ways that you want to price, the multiple units of measure, and the conversions. Like Jason was talking about, open APIs and bundles so we can work with people like BizSpeed, right? So that we can have all those integrations. Those are all things that even in my 10 years that almost 10 years that I've been here, as we build them and as we get them put together, we just bundle them up and then we make them available to everybody as we bring them on board. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. And then
Charlie,
continue.
if I could just add to that, and we're also flexible, right? So if, let's say, Mississippi, starting on November 1st, we're gonna start this new tax or whatever. We'll figure it out. If we got to create analytics or a safe search until the tax engine gets up to speed or something because you're in a hot spot, we'll make it happen. We'll make sure you get the right reporting so you're collecting that right tax or you're reporting that right tax.
Okay, I've got three more questions. They're coming in fast and furious.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yes. What pieces of NetSuite are customized specifically for the petroleum industry? That's the first part of the question. And then the second part from the same submitter is, does NetSuite integrate with ANOVA tank monitors?
I'll answer the ANOVA. I probably should have done this before you guys do. We do the ANOVA tank monitors. So typically when we implement with NetSuite, we'll do the tank monitors. NetSuite is the system of record for customers, which would be customers and ship-tos and products and pricing. And either NetSuite can generate orders and we get those sent to us for routing, or for tank generated orders, we'll generate orders and we have an interface to NetSuite where we'll create an order in our mobile hub and we create the sales order automatically in NetSuite. So that order gets in NetSuite and we'll do that. And then obviously route and deliver it. And then we close out the item fulfillment to generate an invoice in NetSuite. But yeah, we handle the interface with Innova and a number of the other monitors. And then I think the same person had another
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
was
Yeah.
yeah,
what
the NetSuite
pieces,
side, right?
yeah,
So
what
that
pieces of
would be
NetSuite are
the
customized?
KPIs, the reporting, the tracking of your inventory, the values, your financials. The KPIs is probably one of the bigger things. You want to know what's going on right there. It's on your dashboard right when you log in, or if when you go to the other overviews, it's right there. It's something you could see really quickly. Um,
Gallon
yeah,
reporting.
thank you.
Yeah, like all, yeah, there's those ones that yeah, so the usual suspects that we run into, but you're right, it's around the inventory itself, the item record, and the way we use the multiple units of measure and the conversions between those, especially if you're doing like pump offs or repackaging. You've got things like gallon reporting, which comes through all of the pieces, right? I push it through like the KPIs, the alerts, if I want to use it for anything around even like credit limits, that kind of stuff. Like I have, let me see, I was looking to see what other ones we have that are specific. Pricing, the way we do our pricing, especially if you're doing customers, sub customers, multiple ship tos. So all of that is already, it's core NetSuite, but then we, terminology wise, we tweak it to the industry. Yeah,
Okay.
none of that is custom where it's like it's going to cost additional, right?
Right.
It's just what NetSuite does.
Yep. Last question. Any active California fuel distributor customers?
I'd have to look it up. I don't know if I have the answer for that one. Any active ones?
Yeah, I can look up and follow up with Chris, and then we could if there's going to be a follow
Yeah.
up email or something after this. I just The answer is yes, but I have to make sure that they're on that available to be name dropped
Yeah.
reference list.
Right.
And I think
Just
one of
being
the
cagey, I was trying not to
one
just
of
throw
the
somebody's name out there.
Yeah, no, I think we can follow up directly with that person. I think one of the things that's come up, and obviously we're kind of jumping right into the questions on on the fuel distribution side, and you and I have talked about this, John, is how to
Yeah.
handle some things that are fuel specific, like the BOL, right? Because that's one of the things that's very different. Lubricants, NetSuite is a fantastic package for mid-market wholesale manufacturing and distribution. Fuel, where there's BOL tracking, ends up being slightly different, and that's obviously a petroleum industry specialization as opposed to a generic wholesale distribution. So yeah, I don't know if you want to make any comments about how you handle some of those things.
Yeah, even with those, the key thing with NetSuite in general is things what took me a while to get used to when I came here was things that in the past felt like it was going to be some sort of a very huge project to take something and modify it or build something like a BOL, right? Is really a non-issue. With the way the tool set is built out in NetSuite, it's more a matter of what do we want to do with, like, where do we want to change things up? What are the requirements that you need specifically for that? And then just going in and modifying the existing form. It really ends up not being that complex. Anything that I hear, like when I say the word custom, to us is really a configuration.
Yeah.
Just because of the way the platform is built, that it's really just a matter of going in and throwing some switches and doing a configuration and then testing it, right? It's not that difficult.
Yeah, with the open HTML, again, we're just writing that, pulling the right information. Even if you created some custom fields on the sales order or on the fulfillment or the item record, we pull that forward, and and we just make it happen through that way. So it's slight customization with personalizations.
Got it.
So,
We've had a lot of questions, so to keep on track, we'll go to the strategy side. How does a CEO know they need to review their ERP strategy? Obviously, there's changes in the industry because some things are being sunset, but in lieu of just being sunset, when does somebody say, Jason, when would you recommend somebody say, hey, you probably want to start looking at your ERP under these situations?
yeah, just had two conversations this month with customers, prospects, and I'm like, what are the main reasons? Why are you looking? And they're like, because it hurts. It hurts to close the month. It hurts working. And I'm like, okay, well, Tell me what those things are. What are those things that are, hurting? Pulling out financials. I'm tired of playing with Excel. I'm getting bigger. I'm getting more customers. My inventory is growing, but I'm stuck in this box, and it hurts to be here. And that's when most customers, or that's when you kind of like the boss is flicking the president, and the CFO is like, I need a change. There need to be something. I need to rip off band-aids. I need to talk to some another ERP like NetSuite. How can we do this? How can we make these things like what we use? We use leading practices with our suite success process. And that's only the 80, the 80/20 rule. We get you there with our process of 80, but like petroleum, that would be that 20% niche. How do we get you there? How do we make it more customized for you? And I think that's the biggest thing is what I'm hearing from a lot of customers are it hurts when grow should be fun. But if it's hurting, you need to get to another ERP because that's hindering you right there.
Yeah, or if you're running multiple companies, right, or you have multiple subsidiaries, this is one I see almost daily, and they're each, let's say, like I'll just throw QuickBooks out there as an example, right? Now I have multiple instances of QuickBooks, right? And when I'm trying to do a consolidated financial, I'm having to sit down, having to dump all that out into Excel, I'm having to manually pull it all together. They're not talking to each other. I'm having to figure out all these intercompany transactions that have to happen. I want to spin up new lines of business, right? But that means I'm going to be creating another instance. That's typically when I end up seeing people in one of the biggest things that they're talking about, because NetSuite, we don't charge by subsidiary. If you want to have 1,000 companies in a corporate structure, intercompany transactions going on, multiple countries, go for it. That's how we use it.
That may
NetSuite
be a
uses
good lead
NetSuite.
into the next question since this is best
Yeah.
practices. So, like if somebody's selecting an ERP and not every, ERPs aren't something that you select every year, right? What would you say are some things that are best practices from a strategy? Hey, these are things that you should consider when you're looking at an ERP. Best practices around that.
Personally, where I find people trip up is they come in looking for something strictly for like inventory management, because that's the biggest pain, especially in this space right there. I got to make sure the inventory's right. And one of the things I always recommend is that you really also look at how the financials work, right? Especially if you're getting into complex financials, multiple divisions, locations, subsidiaries, tax IDs, countries, counties, and you start to break that into tax reporting. Um, in distribution in general, that's usually where I see I need to push back and say, have you looked at? I know you're looking at these guys. Have you looked at how they handle that on the financial side, and what does that look like in a future state as you grow? Do they charge for that? Right? Is it gonna drive your costs up 5 years from now? So when I have people that come to me and they're really focused on one thing and they're not looking at the other pieces, right? The CRM, the HCM, I want to point them to that and say, hey, there's a bigger picture here. Even if you don't need it today, there's a bigger picture here that we take care of you even in the future as things change up.
Jason, your thoughts on things that you on the implementation side would like to say, hey, these are things that you should make sure you're considering when you look at the strategy of picking an ERP?
Yeah, now that I'm more in the sales side, helping out those customers, what I ask them, know your processes, know the ins and outs, find your SMEs. You might know that this is a report that you get, or whatever. Make sure you know the 10 or 12 different process areas, and then make sure that that whatever your ERP you find, that it fits those areas. Now, you might have to change the process a little bit to make it work, but as long as you're getting to A to Z or A to B and you don't have to go to Z to get there, figure that out. I think that's the most important thing. Understand your processes and make sure that that ERP fits those processes, or at the end of the day, fits the understanding of the processes.
Process is a good question. That's the next topic. So
All
in
right.
terms of implementations, um, what are some best practices in terms of implementing, whether it's NetSuite or just an ERP in general? Because I think a lot of people, they haven't implemented one in a long time, right? And they may not understand, but they have a chance to talk to you and John and get, hey, I wish people knew this when they were doing the implementation. What would you say about that?
Mm,
Yeah. So
I would say the biggest one for me is be open to change. Um, just because you've always done something one way doesn't mean it's not it's not necessarily the best way, right? The number of times that when I get on a call and I'm working with somebody and they're like, no, we have to do it this way, right? And I dig in and I find out that they've been doing it that way for the last 10 years because it was a workaround because of a system that they had before that couldn't do it.
Right.
That doesn't mean you need to still live with that.
Yeah.
There may be a better way, so maybe be open to that change or potentially changing that process and the
Yep.
change management side of it. And also data. Understand what you want to do with your data. I understand. I totally get the I need to have all my data. I need to have all of it, but what does that really mean? And in what form do you need it? Right? If you can tell somebody like myself or Jason the finish line, we can tell you how to run the race. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to bring over every single detailed transaction for the last 10 years to get the same kind of reporting. If you bring it in a different way, that's less of an uplift for you and your team to try to muddle through and rationalize and sort, because data can really grind an ERP implementation to a halt. And then with us, there's no time limit on data anyhow. So I always recommend focus on what you need for the core and to stand up and to go live and to be successful and run your business as if nothing has changed. Then start to bring in the rest of the history later, right? Do it as more of like when you have some more bandwidth to deal with it. So I would say those are the two things: is be open to change, to processes, and have a good understanding of what data is important and crucial and how you're going to manage that as you bring it over. I'm sure Jason has.
yeah, no, those are spot on. Those are probably the two biggest ones. Just to fall back on what
Yeah.
John said earlier would be the change management part. What we've seen is I've always done it this way. Well, if you do it that way with inside NetSuite, you're making Mary do 2 extra steps. And I thought you liked Mary, right? So let's not get Mary angry with us, because if we do the regular steps, the way, and again, at the finish line, right? You tell us where the finish line is, we're gonna get you there. We're gonna get you there 4 steps or 3 steps. Leave Mary alone, and it all makes sense. You still get your reporting, you still get your financials, you still get all that other stuff, but you're ripping that Band-Aid off from that old system. So I
I
think
had
that's a big
one
thing.
question in here for you, Jason, because John and I were talking earlier. Because everybody's always asked about this, and he's funny because John said he went to some customer and they said, "I don't want to hear anything about AI," but John was telling me about a pretty cool thing that you did with AI recently. We
Uh-oh.
always get that question, and so from a process standpoint, are you guys using AI as part of the project implementations?
Yeah, we are heavily using it throughout the whole process. Um, for notes, for helping with UAT, to helping, because again, we do that 80/20 rule where we're going to give you UAT tickets that are basically, the norm. But then we can use, okay, you do something special. That's not necessarily the norm for even petroleum. Maybe it's, something different. You do something special. So we use the AI to create those steps. Um, some other things that we're using Claude integration. Customers are liking stuff like that with ChatGPT, Claude integration with that. So they're pulling reports with that stuff, or you can create transactions, purchase orders, sales orders, those type of things. So we're really we have internal prompts too. What's pretty cool, where we can tell the system, I need a description for this item that I'm making. It's on the vendor. So I'm going to white label it and I'm going to call it something. And here's what I think the actual verbiage should be for this description of an item. You hit the AI button, it's going to say, "Hey, what about this?" And you're like, "I like it, but clean it up a little bit." And you clean it up a little bit, and then maybe you edit it and give it your little verbiage. So AI is living within it. Do you need to use it every day? No. Is it going to help your job? I believe so. I'm one of those AI people that think it's just going to help you do your job better. It's going to take away some of those things that would just like, oh my God, I gotta do this. That.
Yeah.
It's gonna take those things away, and it's gonna allow me to do other things that I'm better at.
Yeah, it's making things more efficient. And just Jason mentioned UAT a couple times there. We do love our acronyms here.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
user acceptance testing. That's like your mini mock go live, if you want to think of it that way, right? That final testing before you pull the trigger. That's a great place to be using it. Yeah, to build out what are the processes I really want to hammer down on and test before I flip the switch and go live.
You were telling me about using Claude to help determine, inventory levels, right? Weren't you?
Yep. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of basically working with some again, it's purchasing models. Everybody has different purchasing models. NetSuite's got them, ERP, other systems have them. Some don't have anything, right? Again, picking on QuickBooks. But if you like a model that you came from a legacy system or you read this book and you want to use it, what's super great about, Chat or Claude, you tell it the model, Claude can go in or Chat can go in into your system, look at all the stuff. It could tell you, hey, you're missing 2 fields. Okay, I'll go make those 2 fields. Fill out those 2 fields. And then it says, okay, well, now give me something. And then it says, okay, well, suggested purchase would be X. Okay, well,
No, wait,
NetSuite says
start
X,
again.
Y.
So when you talk about purchasing models, maybe just describe when you say a purchasing model, what you're talking about.
Oh, so like seasonality. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, seasonalities, ERQ up to,
EOQ
X.
up to, yeah.
Oh, those type of
Yeah.
things. So different types of models that can get you, do I want to be lean, just on time models? If a customer is going to want, 100 a day for the next, 50 days or whatever, how do I bring that in? Those type of things. So again, it can suggest, right? It's like, really, it's like Google on steroids, right? You can just continually have that same question and consistently talk to it, and fine tune it. And I'm always a big fan of trust and verify. So if it's going to tell me X, and then some other system says Y, and then I'm looking like, well, this scheme's
Chris and I
kind of
both said
big.
trust but verify earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I go in and I run with the regular one, and then I get back orders. I'm like, man, I should have went with X instead of Y. And then you again trust,
Yeah.
a couple months, whatever, keep working it out. So again, I think it's your brain is the limitation, right? It is as strong as you want to be with it is how strong you can be with it.
I think not everybody's up to speed on AI, different people. And it's always shocking because some people that you would never expect will talk about, hey, this is what I'm doing. But as we kind of go into the technology side of it, what types of technology skills should somebody have when they're implementing NetSuite, not just on the implementation, but afterwards? Like, what do they need to have?
Biggest thing for
So
me.
that to me is yeah, I was going to say that to me is like one of the best things in NetSuite. You don't have to have any. If you have some basic Excel skills and you browse the internet, you can learn NetSuite and be comfortable with it. For the rest of the pieces that are available, when you license with NetSuite, you get access to all of our developer tools, scripting, um, all of our reporting, all of it's included in the one license. We don't upcharge for all of that stuff. You just get everything. But along with that, you get access to you sign up and get access to our learning cloud. And our learning cloud is our giant repository of training and education. And in there is all of the training, certifications, everything you need for every single feature in NetSuite. So if you want to just take advantage of the basics in the beginning and use it for financials, inventory management, purchasing, receiving, payables, right? That's all great. But later, if you want to go in and learn how to write advanced analytics, how to write more modified advanced forms, right? Advanced PDF for things like if you want to create your own BOLs down the line, or if you want to do scripting, all of that training is in there. Or if you have somebody on your team that's wants to learn those things, you can have somebody like an in-house NetSuite developer. You can absolutely do that. Some of our partners on our partner network, many of them are NetSuite customers who saw a gap in our functionality, used the tools that come with the licensing, developed a solution for it, and then bottled it up and resell it as a NetSuite partner now. And
Got
they
it.
did all of that with the same tool set that every single NetSuite customer has just by signing up.
Yeah, because I think the question we get, a lot of times is what technical skills do I need to have, right? So not just in terms of using it, but in terms of supporting it long term. Do I need to have that? Or I think, do most of the implementations go through NetSuite, or do they go through an integrator that does the implementation, I guess?
We do the majority of them. I always say nobody does more NetSuite than NetSuite, right? We hands down do more than anybody. Plus, we all use it every single day. So you can get any one of us on the phone, and we can tell you how we're using it in our day-to-day lives. Um, yeah, I mean, we definitely we have the biggest lion's share of it. It's not that there's anything wrong with a NetSuite partner. I love our partner network. I work with them all the time as well. For me, it's what's best for the customer is my first priority, right? Before it's who's going to do the implementation, and we can always partners in the name, right? We team up all the time. It's a shared responsibility.
Yeah, and I
Then
think the
obviously, well,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry, Chris. Just be open, right? Do you have to be an expert of SQL? Do you need to be an expert of AI? No, just be open. Just be willing to change and learn and pick it up. Like John was saying, the tools are all there. Just be, don't be
Yeah,
closed. Be able to say, and if and it doesn't matter if you go into a partner or if you go into PS, ask questions, right? Say, what about this? Can I do this? Challenge us, right? We're going to give you leading best practices, but if you throw us a curveball, oh, on this Thursday, on the 12th day of the month, we do X. Well, all right, we got to figure that out.
Yeah.
Let's figure out together.
PS is
yeah,
professional services.
Professional services, yeah,
Yeah.
my acronyms
Yeah.
again. Yes,
So,
professional
yeah.
services.
yeah.
Yeah.
What,
I'm the acronym dictionary for them. I'm used to. I'll translate them into. Yeah.
obviously, we are a logistics partner and we integrate, but what are the typical integrations that you would see? I mean, I know Avalara as a tax platform is a common one.
Yeah.
What are typical things that somebody would say, hey, as part of the implementation, here's other things that you are possibly going to integrate with? What would be the top things that you would see?
Yeah, I mean, if I take it outside of this industry across the board, right? It's EDI, right? So your SPS commerces, your big commerces, right? You've got your e-commerce, any e-commerce platform if you have one, credit card integrations, right? Lock boxes, bank integrations. Um, those are the usual suspects that I hear right out of the gate. And then depending, like I said, on the industry, if I'm in more of like a transportation logistics one, we're looking at, what logistics software are they using? Are they looking just to like roll up core financials? It really depends. We have a great website that anybody can go look at anytime. It's called suiteapp.com, SUITEAPP.
Yeah.
And that is our app store. So if there's a product you're looking to see, is there already one? You can look there first. If there's not, there's always right.
Yeah.
There's people that build, because we have open APIs, they build integrations as well that they already have. Right. So I mean it's a very open platform. But I would say banking, um, sometimes some reporting tools, that kind of stuff, right? Those are the
Yeah.
tax jars, the Avalaras. Those are the usual suspects.
Yep.
We had one more question. I don't know if you may not know the answer to this. It may be on the suite apps, but if there's a card lock, does anybody have a card lock system that's integrated? Off the top of your head.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can try to go quickly look while we're talking.
Okay. Well, while you do that, Jason, what does a typical
Yes.
project team look like for a customer?
Yeah, so you're definitely going to get somebody like me. So I'm the DL. I'm the project sponsor on the NetSuite side. From there, you'll get a PM, a project manager, who I'm gonna slice and dice it. I'm gonna give the acronym and then the definition.
Okay.
And then you're gonna get the functional consultant, so the FC, right? So you're gonna get those. And again, you could have 3 functional consultants. You could have 10. You might have 2, right? It all depends on the size of the job. And then on the other side, so on the customer side, we still like it to have a process sponsor. We like to have maybe a project manager that can meet with our project manager on a weekly basis. And then you're going to have your SMEs. You're going to have your industry experts on different areas. You're going to have an AP expert or an AR person, or that might be the same person, different hats, right? You're going to have the warehouse integrator or something like that. Somebody that's lives and breathes all those operational things. So that's the typical team. We'd like to have at least, at least two on the customer side. It's usually it's sometimes can be a really heavy lift for just one person, even if it's a small customer. And again, when you're the one person, you have somebody that kind of a sounding board to talk to and say, do we still do this? Yeah, I think we still do that. So it's nice to have that confidence in that side of the customer. And then, yeah, that's probably your typical scenario
Got it. And then
of those folks.
are there common questions you ask the team before the customer team before starting? Like, so I think some of it might, yeah.
Yeah, definitely do. One of the first things, especially when we go over the SOW, and that's statement of work. There we go. I do it again. Is what are the three things that why did you choose NetSuite? What are those three things? Because I want to keep those in my pocket. So, a couple months down the road, or a couple weeks down the road, I can take those out and say, remember, this is why we bought NetSuite. These three things, not because Mary doesn't want to click that button. It's these three things, right? We want to make sure that we have that understanding. And then one of the first things we'll want you to do is look at your data, look at your chart of accounts. Let's do a little scrubbing. Our chart of accounts are going to be a little bit different than some of the other legacy systems that are out there. So there's some scrubbing there. We want to have that conversation. So, and then I try to take a nice, like a feel of like how, because again, this goes to change management, right? How are your folks feeling about the whole change? And if everybody's on board, everybody's excited, well, that's great. That's going to make my life a little bit easier. But then when it's, excuse me, oh, the owner bought it and I'm not sure, and everybody's kind of on the fence, and then they're going to be looking at me. I'm like, well, I need to focus on this gentleman or this lady and make her experience fun and enjoyable. So when she gets off the call, oh, I just got off the call with Jay and his PM or whoever, and I had a great time, and now all the folks are going to be like, oh, maybe this NetSuite thing is pretty good. And then that kind of bubbles up, and it basically makes the whole process easier. It opens the door of, for that resistance.
Kind of related to I think part of what we see on ERP implementations, and obviously it can range based on the size, but how long are implementations usually, and what kind? Because I think the challenge that comes in is, like from my side, is that a lot of times customers don't understand what their time commitment is. So what would you tell them? Hey, you need, this is what you need to expect from a commitment while the project's going on, like for the accounting and inventory management side.
Yeah. So what's nice is we break that down. So we say, if you're this, if you're the data person, we're going to break the hours out and all that kind of stuff. Or if you're the PM, it's going to be these many hours. But typically we're looking at maybe 90 to 120 on a smaller job. If you get a little bit bigger, it gets maybe to 4 to 6
He's
months or
talking
so.
days. Yeah.
Months. Oh, the first one
No,
was
not
days. Yeah, 90 days to 120 days,
yeah.
and then 4 to 6 months on the bigger ones. I have under my belt. I think I might have the fastest go live of 6 days.
You do. Yeah.
And basically they had malware, so they had to go onto the system. So we just got them on the system as fast as we could. We went 24 hours straight to get those guys on the system. But
what should they plan? Like, should they plan like, on the accounting side? Like, should they, hey, while the project's going on, budget wise, you should plan on a half of a equivalent FTE or a full-time equivalent, or, so that, because I think a lot of times people don't understand how much time it takes for them, especially when there's data cleanup and things like that.
On average, our implementations, like the across the board, are between 13 to 15 weeks. And if you're a SME, a subject matter expert, right, and you're just working in a particular area, throughout the project of that 13 to 15 weeks, you're looking at maybe 5 hours a week on average during that time. A little heavier in the middle as you're doing testing and stuff, a little lighter on either end. If you're the full blown admin, the system admin, it's more like 7 to 12 hours a week. that you get to that 12 hours a week when you're doing the real data work in the middle, and as you're doing the heavy testing, the user acceptance testing, the walkthroughs, that type of thing. So it really depends on your specific role. If you're a one-man band, yeah, you're probably looking at maybe in the middle there, where and I have people that it's a single person implementing NetSuite all the time. It could be upwards of 15 hours a week when you're in the middle. But here's the thing is, that's also flexible because we do a fixed bid implementation. You have 12 months to do what's effectively like a 4-month implementation. So if you don't have a drop dead go live date, you can also reverse engineer that with Jason and his team, right? And say, hey, I only have 3 hours a week to work on this. When do you think my go live date will be? Right. And I'm taking vacation here. You can make that timeline your own too if you don't have a drop dead date, and then you can do it 3 hours a week. Or you can say, hey, I need to be live by this date. I have these 4 people for 5 hours a week. Is that realistic? Right. And Jason's team will build out. You get an actual project plan from us inside of NetSuite, so you can see day by day, minute by minute, where do I need to be, who's doing what, and you can speed up and slow down. So even if you try to run at it, say, yeah, I'm going to put 30 hours a week into this thing, right? Then you get into it, you go, right, I still have a real job. This is a lot. I still have my day job. I need to dial back. That's fine, right? We'll say, okay, if we pull back and we half that, your new go live date is going to look like this. Is that okay? All right, now we're going to pace for that. That's our team is not bonused or commissioned off of utilization. We're measured off of on-time go lives and customer satisfaction, CSAT scores, right? That's our 2 key metrics that we measure all our people off of. So it changes the way that we work with people. Our concern is, are you happy and comfortable? And did it go well? And did we do it on time? So if you say, hey, I need to slow down, our question is, okay, if we do that, here's your new go live date. Are you okay with that? And we agree on it, then we don't get dinged for going live late. That's why we ask it. But otherwise, that's our focus is, we want it done right. We want people to feel comfortable, and we want them to be happy when they go live with us. That's our driving goal. So it could be anywhere, like I said, between 5 hours, 5 hours a week on the low end if you're just working on 1 or 2 areas, to as high as, I would say, 15 hours a week at the tops if you're like doing all the work.
Got it. That
was a big answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that, you said your measures are on time go live and customer satisfaction. We are running up against the hour. So if there's any last questions, people put them in. We usually have a lightning bonus round. So I'll ask each of you one of these questions. So I'll start with you, John, since you're on there. What's the craziest one-line answers? What's the craziest aha moment a customer shared after go live?
I wish somebody had told me how data worked, because I wouldn't have brought in all of this data and spent so much time on it if somebody had told me beforehand. and I thought, I did tell you. You can eat that elephant one bite at a time. You would have done it differently.
And Jason,
but I didn't say I told you so.
What's one feature that most surprises customers? So people go, wow.
Even though we show them probably like the KPIs and the reporting and the one-stop stuff, I think even though we show them during the demos and we show them pre-sale stuff, they are so well. Again, once they're live, it's their data, and they're like, maybe it's just it's smoke and mirrors or whatever. But I think once they're live, they're in it like a couple of weeks or whatever, and then they're like, oh, this is my data. This is my sales. This is my revenue. This is my whatever, right? I think that blows them away too. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then if you could, back to John, if you could snap your fingers and instantly add one AI capability, what would it be?
I don't have one that I can think of right now, because I'm so happy with the fact that it'll write reports for me that I used to go in and it's click, not code, right? And I would grab all the tables and say, put this, and that. But right now, when I need a report quick on like what my team is doing, I just ask it and it writes it for me. It's fantastic. I'm very efficient / lazy.
We talked about that. I don't know. You might want to just describe that a little bit more, that you're using it to basically build the reports. You're using, yeah.
Yeah, I can go in and literally tell it, I need a report that shows me all the opportunities that my people are working with that are over X number of days old and what the current status is, and bring in any of the notes from the sales team so I can see them. Boop. I used to have to sit and do that before. Could I do it? 100%. It's all click tables and say add. We call it a save search. It's a query. It's like a SQL query. But now I can just type. I just put in the words and prompt it. I love that.
Yeah.
Brain dump.
Jason,
Yeah.
for you, what's one piece of advice for customers that you'd want customers to know?
Just be open. Just be open to the change of the experience and ask questions.
And
Yeah.
John, what about advice for partners like us?
Same. Be open. I mean, Chris, we have this going because we just decided to jump on a call and get to know each other and talk it through. And from that, we've got a few customers that are, in the middle of an implementation, as you and your team work with our team on making that integration even stronger and better to make it, you know what I mean? It's just an open conversation. So if there's partners out there that are, that are thinking about, they want to, really work hand in hand with us, we're open to that. It's a partner network. It's a partnership.
You guys have, and you're obviously, because you're a web first, you have a very well documented APIs too, which is nice for us.
Yeah.
And it's not a win-lose situation with partners and with you. It's in the customer, right? It's a win-win-win, right? So it's a win for NetSuite. It's a win for you. It's a win for the customer. We're all here to help each other. There's no losers when we do this right.
Last question on the lightning round for you, Jason. What's one area you see AI making the biggest impact?
Oh, so this is my pet baby. I think I talked about it a little bit earlier. I would think if I can create, or I have AI create purchasing models, I think if you can turn your inventory over quicker, like if you're stuck on a 5 or a 9 or something like that right now of turning over your inventory, and you can use AI to increase those turns by increasing the different models and fine tuning your inventory to that. I think that's a game changer for everyone.
Yeah, I think, and you mentioned a couple of terms. You said EOQ. You might want to just describe those terms.
Economic order point. So basically, it looks at the dollar value of your inventory and suggests the order point based off of that. So I apologize.
Yeah,
and up to is basically your inventory value up to that point. So it's a little different, but same, if you will. It's better than the old min-max that we use in some of the legacy systems.
Got it. This has been awesome. So we've covered a lot. I appreciate both of y'all doing this, and
yeah, no worries.
We'll send out the recording after Alicia gets it cleaned up. If you guys have any questions, Charlie is on. He's our sales director. He can direct them and make sure you get in touch with John and Jason if you got questions on specific things. I know there's a couple of things like card lock and some California fuels and lubes distributors. So they'll follow up with that, and Charlie will make sure that you get that. But yeah, this has been great. So it's a good chance to share best practices, and I appreciate you both spending the time here. So
yeah, thanks for having us. It was great.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah, and as always, Chris, if you need anything, just reach out. Or if Charlie are on here, if you need anything, just reach out. Jason and I are open to hanging out and helping people and talking. That's really what drives us. That's why we continue to do this for decades.
And I think you
100%.
100%. Awesome.
Thanks,
This has been great. Thanks for doing it.
Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you.